Aloha, I'm Dr. Sasha Lesson, and this is part 11 of Peoples of the Earth, a series that we're doing on the Anunnaki. This part 11, is about Inanna, Anunnaki princess, and the men who she's hooked up with and who've dominated Sumer with her for quite some time. And we're going to go through each of these in some detail. But first, we'll be looking at Banda, whom Inanna saw as her murdered fiancé, Dumuzi, and then Gilgamesh, who had a very interesting relationship with Inanna, who was quite a danger to him at the same time as an object of his lust. Sargon, who was her gardener and raped her, but she liked it, and so she made him head of her armies. Nergal, who the guy who left his lineage to join her in her push to become ruler of the world, and the killer king who really subdued everybody else, and his name is Naram Sin. So let's look at this. Inanna had two satraps, or places that she ruled. One was Uruk, which is in Sumer, or Iraq, as it's now called, and the other is in the Indus Valley, in this part of India. And she had an airplane. She had a couple of them, actually, and she would fly back and forth. And that's what she did. She had built the city in Iraq around a temple. And the blue thing that you see in the picture, that's her temple. And then she had gotten these computer programs from chief scientist Enki, and she was able then with that to build this whole city with plumbing and all kinds of things around that. And that became her capital city of Uruk. And she would travel from Uruk, as you can see on the left there, fly across, not that far, it's only a few inches on my picture anyway, to her places in the Indus Valley. And of course, she had learned all this sexual stuff from Anu and the King of Nibiru and from Enki, and she brought all that stuff to her civilization in the Indus Valley, where she had lots of temples to her. In Uruk, she let her twin, Utu's hybrid kid, Enmercar, become king. And he ruled the place. And he started sending his son over to her other place in Harappa. First, he sent other people, but they said, well, we don't know what you're saying. Can't understand your language. And well, then we sent him written stuff. We don't understand your writing. So Enmercar had his son, Banda, really educated. So he spoke both languages. And he sent Banda, Enmercar sent Banda to Harappa with the king of Harappa and said, look, we want to do more than just get your little gifts. It's nice that you're giving us gifts, but my dad, the king, says, you've got to become my subjects and give me regular tribute. And if you don't want to do that, then we're going to have a war. And the king of Harappa said, hey, you know what? I'd much rather trade, but if you want to have a war, instead of having everybody ruin everybody else, let's just get champions from each side and let them fight. But in any case, Banda delivers this message, and he's coming back with his companions, and he gets really sick, and they can't revive him. They decide he's dead, and they just sort of leave his corpse there and stagger on themselves. And Inanna, his brother Utu picks up the body of the perhaps in a trance, or a coma of Banda, and brings him back to life, sort of, but he's still not fully recovered. When Inanna then sees this guy, handsome guy, Banda, she says, "Oh, it's Dumuzi." And she thinks all the guys that she is attracted to are Dumuzi. He's trying to reincarnate and be with her, she thinks. And maybe he was, who knows. But in any case, Inanna kisses him, the Sleeping Beauty, and he comes to life, and she makes love with him like she did with so many guys that she did. But unlike the other ones, this guy doesn't die. He probably doesn't die because he's partly Anunnaki. But all the other guys that she had for the night were dead in the morning. So she got together with Banda, and she liked him so much she made him king. She made him king of Uruk. There's a picture of him, and he was succeeded by a rather famous guy named Gilgamesh. That's the second dude of Inanna that we're going to talk with. Again, he was 3/4 Anunnaki. His mother was a full-on daughter of Enki, the chief scientist. Ninsun is his mother. And so he's going a little bit crazy because Inanna has got playing sexual games, and she has a deal with him that's just driving him nuts and making him exercise what's known as the rite of the king, the rite of the first night, where he gets to deflower maidens who are about to get married before their husband can even touch them. And after a while, he pulls this stunt so often that people are starting to riot, especially the young men. They just this guy is unstoppable. And it seems that what's happening is that what's really bugging him is that Inanna has one night with him every year. And at first there's a test. If he fails the test, where she's lowers him on a swing, a contraption, and he has to penetrate and unpenetrate her 50 times without squirting. If he squirts, she's supposed to kill him. And if he passes this test, then she makes love in all kinds of ways, whatever is fun for them, the rest of the night. But he can't touch her any other time except on this one time of the year. So all year long, he's going around horny thinking about this goddess who knows all the tricks. And that's his excuse, or what motivates him to take on all the virgin brides in Uruk. And so she doesn't know what everybody in the city is just saying. Hey, control your king, Queen Inanna, goddess Inanna, and she doesn't know what to do. But so she asks Enki what to do, and Enki, their chief scientist, creates an android, sort of a neutral man, not unlike the clones that they make in the secret space program that we hear so much about. Enki creates a android. They call him Enkidu, and he's going to tame Gilgamesh, but first he's got to get trained in how to do it. There's a conception of what Enkidu looked like. He's just a very, he's got a lot of potential, but he needs a little training. And to train him, Enki sends the tantrika, the tantric practitioner, one of the head priestesses at Inanna's school of her temple in Uruk. And they have these really wild temples. Anybody can go there, old men, and there's these tantrikas that welcome everybody. They don't turn anyone away. Everybody's happy in Uruk. And the head of all this, the head priestess, is Shamhat. She's what's called a tantrika. She's a master of all this. And they send her to socialize Enkidu. And in Tantra, it's not just about sex. It's a matter of waking all his tantric centers, his inner child, his sexual part, of course, his empowered human being, opening his heart chakra, letting him really be able to express himself, throat chakra, let him have visions of an intelligent human being and a spiritual connection. In other words, she really socializes him. And now he's ready to go see if he can divert Gilgamesh from raping all these virgins. Now, the first thing that happens when Gilgamesh sees this guy, he wants to fight him. And so they have this fantastic fight. And they really, both of them like the fight. They really become best friends after that. And now that he's got a companion, he decides he's more interested in something that's been bugging him a lot than just sex, which is they telling his mother, Ninsun, said, "You're going to die because you're a one fourth earthling, and you've got to be pure Anunnaki in order to live forever like we Anunnaki do." But Gilgamesh is no fool. He knows it's got something to do that with the Anunnaki going back and forth or having some kind of communication with their home planet, Nibiru. He knows about, and he can hear and see rockets going off, and they decide, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they're going to go see if they can hitch a ride on a rocket. They go to the landing platform in Baalbek in Lebanon, and they watch the rockets going off, and Gilgamesh says, well, we got to get in there and see if they'll give us a ride. They actually see this rockets launching off, and so they find a grate and they pry it open. They're going to see if they can get to the rocket and either stow away or get a ride. But first of all, there's a robot guard. It looked like a person, but it was a robot. It came out, and together these two guys, Enkidu and Gilgamesh, kill the robot. And then they're confronted with another robot, but they don't know it's a robot at first. And this is, it's called Enlil's bull. And this thing comes at them right through, they came through the grate, and here comes this bull. After they tear it all apart and stuff, all kinds of gears fall off. But they go through this second fight, now with the second robot, the Enlil, the commander's bull. And while they're having this terrific fight, Inanna is being watched. Inanna is watching Gilgamesh in this fight, and it's turning her on. And so she says, "Gilgamesh, come and be my lover." And he said, "No way! I've suffered for you for years with your silly ritual, and besides that, I know I've been living my whole life that if I get into sex with you, and it isn't in that ritual day, that I'm going to die, and so I'm not going to take a chance." And boy, is Inanna mad. She asked the commander, "Will you kill Gilgamesh? He insulted me." And Enlil said, "I can't kill. I'm not going to kill Gilgamesh. I don't need to do that. I'll get rid of his companion Enkidu, and he won't be able to do anything." And so he makes Enkidu sick, and Gilgamesh is very, very upset, losing his very best friend. But he goes on. He's on the quest himself, and after much travel, he finds this cave, and he finds by the cave Noah, who was thousands of years old by now. Noah and his wife are both alive, and they tell him, "We've been eating this stuff, this It's under the water. It's something that grows under the water. We've been eating it, and that's how we can't go to Nibiru. That's out for us. But they let us live on Earth because we were such good servants of the Anunnaki during the flood time. And so Gilgamesh dives down in the water, and where the weed is growing, gets his hands on it, and just when he's about to get it, a snake snatches it. Now that's just these people, when they say a snake snatches it, that can mean several things. One of them, it usually means, is that an instrument of Enki, the chief scientist, it could be a machine, it could be an animal, or it could be just a euphemism for Enki himself, snatches this long life herb, whatever it is, from Gilgamesh, and now he doesn't have it. And so he goes home. His mom says, "Look, yeah, you're going to die, but I got to tell you something," says Ninsen, the goddess. "You got a lot of life left before you die, and you got a beautiful wife. She loves you very much. Just enjoy yourself. That's the best you can do. And when you die, you die." And he dies. Well, it's time, you see, the Anunnaki live a long time. It's time for Inanna to move on. And so one day she's sleeping in her garden, and she's got a really nice place in Uruk. She's got a yardman there. His name is Sargon. And he rapes her. And instead of getting vindictive, she says, "Wow, that was far out. I want more of you." And she winds up choosing him to lead her armies. And together, Sargon and Inanna just basically conquer almost all of Iraq, all of Sumer and Kuwait. And they build a beautiful capital called Agade, after the capital of Nibiru. And the civilization is called Akkadian, and the script and the language of Akkadian is with spread. Everybody's writing it in all the different subgroups in Sumer, Iraq, and Kuwait, and some in Turkey, are all using Akkadian, this language, script, and to write. And so together, this dynamite couple, Inanna and Sargon, take over everything. Now, Inanna's longtime enemy, for those of you who've been following this, of course, is Marduk, who got her fiancé Dumuzi killed and started her on her adventures. And so Marduk has been forgiven by King Anu in the same visit when he made Inanna his courtesan for Earth. And so King Anu, the king of Nibiru, forgave and pardoned Marduk for the murder of Dumuzi. And so Marduk came back to his dad's place, and his dad gave him a section of Eridu that was in his control, his dad's Enki, and it's called Babil, later becomes Babylon. And so Marduk sees this is right where the waters all pass through. All the nobles of the Anunnaki are quarreling with each other about whose irrigationist gets whose what first, and they're really having a problem. So Marduk is a computer genius, and he figures it out so that all the water is accounted for, and it's always in the right place, the right amounts, and so forth. He really gets it all going. But of course, the princes in the area don't like it, the fact that all river travel and irrigation now is controlled by Marduk. And this is right in the middle of what they consider their Enlil territory. And here's this Enkiite, Marduk, head of the Enki lineage, who's controlling their water. And so they asked Nergal, his brother, who's pretty damn jealous of him, do something about it, please. And so Nergal, who's a lover of Inanna, goes on to talk to his older brother, Marduk. and he says, you know what? There's some old weapons, perhaps they're nukes that are down in the south of Africa, Marduk, and I know you really are interested in those. I'll tell you where they are, uh, uh, and I'll take care of things here while you're gone. Oh, will you do that for me? Okay, bro, you're coming through, says Marduk, and he leaves. And now, when he's gone, Nergal starts breaking everything, ruins the whole irrigation system. All of Sumer is flooding, and it's just, it's a mess. But Marduk has left, and Nergal has destroyed the system. Here's an ancient picture of Nergal being confronting Marduk, saying, look it, we don't have to fight. Just go down and get the weapons. I'll take care of things here. Well, as a team, Nergal and Inanna take on Marduk, and they drive Marduk and his armies from Egypt. Inanna takes on a new king. That's her particular king, king of the Akkadians. Sargon had become this disgusting drunk. She couldn't stand him anymore. And so she hooks up with Naram Sin. And together they conquer everything, even Jericho, which was her dad's Nanar's place. And this is it. She's just realized that she is the only power that's still going there, and she considers herself queen of the earth. With Naram Sin, and there's a freeze of him in battle. They just conquer everything and everyone. Like they're unstoppable. And part of the reason they're unstoppable is that Enlil's champion, Ninurta, and his other nephew, Adad, his son actually, is known as Viracocha, are working to make a second spaceport atop the Andes, and they're working very hard at it. They're using the descendants of Cain, which they brought over from Southeast Asia, as their laborers, but they're doing all the technical work, and they're gone. And so the field is totally free for Inanna and Naram Sin to just take over. There's no one to oppose them. And so Inanna says, I am now queen of the earth. And not only that, one day I'm going to be queen of Nibiru too. Well, that's it for today's story. That's part 11. We'll go into what happens next with this exciting episodes of the Anunnaki. Thank you for listening. We've got a few books: Gods No More, Legacy of the Gods, False Gods, Marduk, Evolution of the Gods, Nimma, Ninharsag, etc. You can get any of these from Amazon. And if you just want to read lots of really cool stuff with pictures and Facebook and stuff censors me and it won't let me really fully express things or show things. And if you really want to see all this stuff, the best way to do it is to go to Enki Speaks. There you'll find evidence, timeline, references, who's who, and you'll also find a bunch of the tantric techniques that Inanna taught, which Facebook just would not let me post, but they're there in great detail. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for part 12, which is next. There's me with my little wife, Janet, Thanks so much for listening. Aloha.